Hey, everybody, it is Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with the Tuesday edition of Today in Sports Betting. Joined as always by my faithful pal. He is the one and only Scott Reichel. Scott, we've got a pretty exciting card of basketball today, don't we?
Yeah. There's a reason why I didn't make a video last night. It's because I'm going to be making a UFC video today for the tomorrow card. But either way, since there are sports on, we're still going to talk about them. I just don't have any thoughts from I'd say a play perspective. Or play of the day perspective, I'll rephrase.
Yes, there's many sports on. There's just nothing we really want to bet on. Yesterday was a good day. I mean, well, it wasn't a good day personally, but it was all right. But it was a lot of interesting games, a lot of fun games, a lot of opportunity to make money out there, and a little backdoor cover action on our Baylor pick, Scott.
But Kansas covered. I like the over as well, but that already won. But yeah, overall the day was fine. I know the Citadel personally hurt both of us over there, which was pretty upsetting. I know that, it's a loss and some people just read that as a loss, but anytime you beat a 4-point line move and you lose by 2, not exactly a fun time. A bunch of missed free throws, missed layups, just some sloppy play down the stretch. But other than that, though, yeah, the games on the NBA for the TV card are pretty good. What a choke job by the Lakers.
Yeah, I saw the beginning of that game when I was talking to you, and like, yeah, okay, well, that's.
Yeah, I made a tweet. I tweeted at the NBA to stop putting the Warriors on TV, and they came back and they won.
And then the Warriors came out to play.
Yes, they did. I don't know what LeBron was doing for the entire game. I know that he tends to pace himself at various points, but he looked disinterested from the get-go. But Lakers were up, 19 in the first half, 16 at the half, up like 11 after 3. And then fourth quarter came around, and the Lakers looked like they were taking a nap.
I don't know, but it's just, the NBA regular season is fun to watch and all, but it seems like there's a lot of games like that where the better team just doesn't really care, even if it's not. And that's not even counting the rest days that's, come up over the last 5 years or so. I don't know. It's one of the reasons I don't really like watching the NBA. The playoffs are always fun, but
I like watching some main games. I mean, I watch the Nets because I'm a Nets fan. I always have been. But that Nets-Bucks game was fun. That was a great basketball game.
Yeah, that was a good game. That was close the entire way. But, and I told you I was going to watch that because I wanted to see, how Harden meshed with Durant and what the new team looked like there. And
they look pretty good. Defensively, they're a mess, but they look good. They look good.
Well, anytime you've got Harden playing defense, it's not going to be good.
Yeah, he's at least hustling to some degree, which is a step in the right direction, I guess. But I said I like the over in that game at around 239. I said both teams will get to 120, and both teams got to 120, so that didn't really surprise me. But the Nets are probably already the best team in the East, and Kyrie hasn't played.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Going to be an interesting rest of the season. All right, so let's take a look. We've got a couple of like second tier games. We got a couple of games that involve good teams and bad teams together. So let's start with the Big Ten, I suppose, Scott. With by the way, everybody, we're gonna do because there's only 2 NBA games. We're gonna squeeze our NBA and NCAA shows together here. So you want to start? What do you want to start? You want to start with we talked about starting with both. What do you want to do first? You want to do?
Yeah,
NBA?
we can do the Michigan game first.
Okay, all right. So Big Ten battle. Michigan, Maryland. Michigan is the 10-point favorite here, Scott, and 141 is the total. Man, a week ago, this would have been a no-brainer for me. I'd have locked up Michigan and been happy about it. But then Michigan, they kind of shat the bed there against the Minnesota Golden Gophers, and now I don't know what we got. What do we got with Michigan, Scott?
I still like Michigan. Nothing, in my opinion, has changed. The fact of the matter is most Big Ten teams, if you've noticed this year, are terrible on the road and really good at home. So I'm not surprised that Michigan killed Minnesota at home, and then Minnesota looked significantly better in their own home arena and won the game. Of course, it was a blowout, but did I learn anything? No. I just learned that most Big Ten teams are awful on the road. So I still like Michigan in this spot.
Well, how is that a thing? How can that How can one conference have their teams to play badly on the road?
I'm not saying it's only the Big Ten. I'm just saying I've noticed it, especially in the Big Ten, where you've had a lot of teams have looked pedestrian on the road and really good at home. Take Purdue, for example. Take any of these teams, for example. A lot of these teams are really good at home and really bad on the road.
Except the problem with that theory is Michigan had been really good about taking care of business on the road. They had 2 double-digit wins where they covered each time, and then they come home and lay an egg, and then they go on the road and lay an egg in Minnesota. So I mean,
well, when you say that they've had 2 really good games, that was against Nebraska and Maryland.
Okay,
and I know we're about to talk about Maryland because they're playing again, but Nebraska is the worst team in the conference.
All right,
and Maryland is what, a bottom 4 team in the conference?
Are they better than Minnesota?
No.
You don't think so?
Is Maryland better than Minnesota? No, Minnesota's better.
Okay.
Wasn't Minnesota ranked at one point?
Yeah, because they had the victory over Iowa, right? They had the victory over.
So I can't argue that.
Well, they had a victory over Wisconsin, and that got them ranked.
They also beat Iowa. They won in overtime against Iowa.
Oh, that's right. Okay, you're right.
So yeah, they're definitely better than Maryland.
Okay.
I think it's close, but I think that Maryland is worse than Minnesota.
All right.
I think you kind of have to agree with that once you look at the actual wins Minnesota has.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. Yeah, Maryland's had played some close games.
Yeah, beat Wisconsin on the road. I mean, Maryland's had okay wins as well. I'm just throwing it out there that I think Maryland is a bottom.
Beat Illinois on the road?
Yeah, I think Maryland's a bottom 4 team in the conference. So I think that even though Michigan looked good in those 2 road games, you had one against Nebraska. Nebraska's awful. Like, really, really bad.
Yeah, well, okay, we agree on that. Nebraska's.
Yeah. And then you have Maryland, who, best case scenario, slightly below average, worst case scenario, bottom 3. Am I wrong?
Now they're bottom 3? They're not even bottom 4?
Let me look at the conference standings, and I'll get back to you. But I'm pretty sure they're hovering around that bottom 4 area.
You were the one singing the praises of Northwestern to me the other day, too. So.
Northwestern has fallen apart. So I have grouped them in the bottom 3.
Okay.
Yeah, Maryland is bottom 3.
Penn
Look
State?
at the conference records. Nebraska's 0-5. Penn State's 0-4. Maryland's 2-5. That's what I said. Maryland's bottom 3.
Well, but you know that's not always an accurate representation because of how the schedule breaks down.
No, correct. I'm just saying, as of right now, from what I've seen from Maryland as well, I think they are a bottom 3 team in the Big Ten. I think maybe you can argue bottom 4 if you want to put Northwestern above them or stuff like that. Penn State's a little bit of a wild card because they're 0-4, but they also didn't play for about 3 weeks because of COVID.
Right.
So that's kind of also up in the air. But yeah, Maryland's not a good team. It's a long way to say Maryland's not that good. I think Michigan comes out pretty motivated after a terrible showing against Minnesota on the road. I think they'll win this game by 15.
I sure don't want to play Maryland.
They already won by 11 in Maryland, so I can't really say no.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think a lot of people had that game handicapped a little bit closer when they, back when they thought Maryland might have a little more this season. But yeah, I sure can't back I can't back the Terps here. I don't love this play. I didn't take this on any of my picks, but
if I had to lean anywhere, I'd lean Michigan. Maybe even Michigan first half, especially after such a terrible showing against Minnesota. I'm assuming you agree Michigan might just come out extremely pissed off in the first.
Yeah, I do think they're kind of playing for their for a little bit of seeding here. I think they need to because Michigan before that game was kind of they were pretty much on the 1 line.
Yeah.
So they could get back there, but they got some work to do. So yeah, it looks like everybody's going to be fairly healthy. I will. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Michigan was missing its starting point guard in its last game, which definitely explains why Michigan's offense looked a little bit lost. I don't think they would have won anyway, but I do acknowledge that Michigan in their last game was not at full 100%. Eli Brooks might be out for this game with a foot injury, and I actually think Brooks is a very good player. So keep that in mind. But for the most part, Michigan at home, I just think is going to beat this team and get back on track.
Yeah, Brooks is really having a solid season, and we've got him questionable here.
Yeah,
got any more information?
I know he missed the last game, so
and I guess they probably figured they could get away with it. They probably figured they could get away with.
Well, either way, there's more important games on the horizon anyway.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Brooks has done a nice job, and I'm just seeing if he just missed that one.
He's not one of the biggest scorers on the team, but he's a floor general, and I think that's a good way to describe him.
He's a facilitator, Scott. That's
Yep.
what he does. All right.
He
So
reminds me of Xavier Sampson from last year, except he can actually shoot free throws,
yeah,
which is a massive upgrade because Sampson was a terrible free throw shooter. But very similar play style.
yeah, you're absolutely right. That's and you need, I'm a big fan when it comes to tournament time. I'm a big fan of senior guards. Some of those old wives' tales and the old chestnuts about sports and what do you need and all that. Some of them are kind of BS, but some of them are actually true. And I do believe a good experienced backcourt is a good thing to have as the season goes on. So
I actually realize it's Xavier Simpson, not Sampson. You understood my point.
I did. All right, so let's move on. You and I lean Michigan there. We want no involvement with the Terps at all. I think we would agree with that.
Yeah.
What else we got here, Scott? We talked about Tennessee, Florida. You got any quick thoughts on that one?
I lean Tennessee. I know that money has come in on Tennessee. Florida's at home, but truth is, once Florida's best player ended up having that health issue, the team's just not very good. It's just a matter of this team losing its best player isn't very talented. And Tennessee, I've watched this team play before. That's an elite defensive unit. That team plays some ridiculous defense, and I think it's a top 4 defense in the country.
I watched him play against Mizzou, and Mizzou could just get nothing going. And Mizzou's a better than average team, especially in the SEC. And they
have a very good big man.
They do. Tillman just kind of came out of not came out of nowhere, but it's nice that he's taking it to the next level. Let's talk about the team that has been. They got a whole bunch of cases of the coronavirus in Santa's bag. And they haven't played since, I think, December the 23rd for Villanova. Yep. Is that right?
Yep.
8.5-point favorites over the Hall. And that, by the way, has gone down a point. A little bit of pirate money coming in there.
Doesn't surprise me.
How do you feel about a team coming off a layoff here?
I think it's definitely concerning, especially if you look at the current injury report for Villanova. It's not like everybody's officially back. You have a couple of people who are still questionable for this game. Maybe not the most important guys in the world, but the fact that you have to worry about rust and potential early fatigue because of the lack of game experience or the lack of game action over the last month or so. Seton Hall definitely had this game circled on its calendar because Villanova is a number 3 team. And as far as the committee's concerned, I don't think it matters if you beat a number 3 team off of COVID or regular. You beat a top 5 team, it's a good win for your resume. So I think Seton Hall will give this game everything it has. Villanova will be motivated for this game to try to get back on track. But I can't overlook the layoff because I'm just assuming that they're going to come out a bit flat. I'm assuming you'd agree.
Well, I agree, but not everybody does, Scott. A lot of people will point to the fact that they're rested. So it really depends on what camp you come down in. And I happen to come down in the camp that you do, that I think rust is a bad thing.
I think it depends on the routine, where you can make the argument about rest, but sure, 3 days rest is a lot different than about 28 days.
Well, and it also depends on what they were able to do. The routine, yeah, you're right. Were they able to practice much? I mean, how did that work? Was everybody just shut down? Was a few guys shut down? They do have a hell of an offense. Do you think the Pirates are going to be able to shut down the Villanova offense?
I think it'll struggle, but you also have to remember Villanova's 4th highest scorer, Caleb Daniels, is questionable, so he might not even play. So there is a chance that Villanova might be a little bit shorthanded for this matchup offensively. Do I think Villanova's going to win? Yes. But based on what I've seen from Seton Hall lately, this team seems to be finding its stride. And I know that Villanova's the better team, and I get all that, but doesn't this kind of seem like a little bit of a perfect storm for Seton Hall to make some noise and potentially pull off an upset?
Yeah, it does, because they have absolutely fallen on their face the 2 times they've faced really good competition so far this season. 36-point loss to Creighton and a loss to Providence there, where they were actually the favorite. So
So Seton Hall's has won 8 of its last 10 games. It's played really well. The Seton Hall game was a joke. I mean, that was just terrible. But for the most part, definitely could use a decent win to help boost its resume. And Villanova.
You said the Seton Hall game. Do you mean the Creighton game or the?
Yeah, the Creighton game. The Seton Hall Creighton game was a joke.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, it's played well lately, and I know Villanova, who is in line for a 1 seed, I guess. I don't know how they're going to do this with the long layoff and the shortened schedule now, but I think it'll have to take at least a half for Villanova to get going.
Yeah, I don't hate Seton Hall first half there either. But the thing about it is, Villanova's not a great team at home when it comes to covering, at least lately. They're just 1-7 against the number of their last 8 home games. So they have been a little bit overvalued as far as a home favorite goes, and the market agrees with us here on this one. So I do have my play of the day on this, but
I think the number's pretty close. But for the sake of what we talked, it's kind of like the game we talked about yesterday with Kansas and Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
I know the situation surrounding Villanova is different, but the idea is one team's better than the other, but it feels like too many points. I think the spread should be around 6.
Yeah, 6.5, 7, somewhere in that neighborhood for me. We didn't even talk about the backdoor cover there.
Well, I kind of segued into it, hoping you'd bring it up. It was a lucky shot though, so it didn't.
It was a lucky shot. Somebody put that in the comment section because I'd made a deal about it. Like, it was a lucky shot. Like, I know it was a lucky shot. Sometimes
you forgot that Scott's so good that he handicapped the bench warmer bank shot from about Curry range with no time left.
Oh man, yeah,
I'm sure you don't even know what the guy's name is. I'm sure nobody knew what the guy's name is. The random guy takes a hideous little one-step floater. I don't know what the hell he was doing, but he was getting buckets. That's what he was doing.
Getting buckets, man. And I was stunned that we won that game because that was and honestly, we had no business winning that game. Baylor dominated that game the entire way.
I told you Butler was great, and I told you Kansas struggles against good backcourts. That backcourt did whatever it wanted.
Baylor, not Butler. Butler's okay.
Well, Butler's the guard.
You said Butler was great.
Yeah, Butler the guard.
Oh, I thought you meant Butler the team.
No, the guard.
Dude, all 3 of those guards are great.
Yeah, but Butler made a couple of big shots down the stretch.
Yeah, when KU pulled it within 5.
I know it was Baylor. Come on, I meant the guard named Butler. Come on, man.
Well, you whiffed on Creighton earlier, so now
whatever. Okay.
So now I'm tuned in.
I said going into the game that Kansas is a good defense, but it struggles against good backcourts, and that backcourt did whatever it wanted for all 40 minutes.
How low would you play this? What's your floor?
For this game, I would probably play it to around, I think 7.5.
7.5.
7.5. I feel better about 8, but 7.5. I still think there's a little bit of meat on the bone.
8.5 right now. How low you think it goes?
Personally, I think it probably closes at 8.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, Villanova is such a public team that I don't think it'll move too much, but I do think there will be some sharp money coming in on Seton Hall.
Yeah, I think we've already seen the first wave. I think we've seen the first steam move there from 9.5 to 8.5.
But you know that with no games on the card, people are going to see the number 3 team in the country and go, "Oh, Villanova."
It's also a late game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely keep an eye on that. Depending on which side you like, you could benefit from waiting because I think there will be a little. I think there'll be a little buyback there. Wherever it lands, I think there's going to be a half point to a point of buyback within the last hour and a half. So. Mm-hmm. All right. Anything else on the college card get you excited? Anything else you want to talk about?
For the most part, no. I know it's a pretty quiet day for college. I'm really curious about the Duke-Pittsburgh game. I know Duke is bad. We've talked about it before. I don't think Pittsburgh's very good, but Duke's gone from -1 to -4. And I'm kind of curious how much of that is Duke has to get it together at some point where people are just chasing, and other people are looking at Pittsburgh and going, "Oh, no, this team just sucks."
You see the graphic last night? I know it was on. I don't care if it was 3 teams or 4 teams, but it was definitely Kentucky, Duke, and North Carolina. First time they haven't been ranked.
It's like 1961 or something.
1961, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is what it is. I can't say I'm complaining because I don't think any of those teams are very good.
No.
So, we'll see. Looking at some other games though on the card. I really like this Radford team.
Yeah.
I've bet on them in the past. I had a play that I had on them, I think, like a week ago or so. I know that Radford's made the tournament within the last couple of years. Campbell's okay, but decent amount of money's coming out on Radford. I believe Campbell's a -1 last night, and now Radford's -2.5.
I got him at juice too, but yeah.
Yeah, so there has been a decent line move there. I would lean Radford because I do think Radford has played really well in conference play. I think that team's actually pretty good.
Yeah, Campbell's been pretty inconsistent, but they've mostly been bad
Mm-hmm.
without, losing what's his name, the leading scorer in the country last year. That was the guy's name. I know you'll know it.
That was last year or 2 years ago?
Oh, of course. Yeah, nothing happened last year. You're right. 2 years ago. I was thinking of the last tournament. Yeah, of course.
Well, because their leading scorer was playing for the Rockets for a little while.
Yeah.
But I just think this Radford team, I don't know if it's the best team in the conference, but I think it'll make the conference title game.
Yeah, I'll go along with you there. I looked at Winthrop and the Blue Hose. I think it's too many points. So
I was going to say that I thought about it because you see the name Presbyterian, you think, oh, Winthrop's going to kill this team. And you're like, no, Presbyterian's actually not terrible.
Yeah, they're okay. They play grid. They can't score. They just a dreadful offensive team.
It's not a good team, but
they play good defense. So, Colorado State's the other one I want to see play.
I actually like I lean to the over in that one.
I don't hate that. Over 140. Colorado State catches to 7.5. They've been playing good ball, but
I really like this Utah State team.
Yeah, Utah State has really been rolling here lately. So
they had an impressive sweep over San Diego State.
Yeah, and I thought San Diego State was a very good team.
I think it's a fine team, but they kind of hit a wall. Utah State seems to just be peaking. I'll tell you what though, the Mountain West, you got Utah State, even Boise, couple of underrated teams over there.
Yes, agreed. Boise's been very, very good to, I think both of us.
I had Boise once against Air Force, and they covered by a hook.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
I don't hate Mizzou -6.
That's fair. If you want an entertaining game, you got 2 on the board. LSU Arkansas should have probably about 170 points. And if you want Kent State Buffalo, that game should also have about 170 points. So if you like scoring, probably check out those 2 games.
Still one of my favorite quotes with talking about when Arkansas was going to play Colorado. Yeah, Nolan Richardson was still at Arkansas, and a reporter asked the coach of Colorado, says, are you worried about the 40 minutes of hell? He goes, I have to watch this. I have to watch my team play every night. I see 40 minutes of hell every time they play.
That's a good one.
Really
I'm sure he was fired the next day, but that's a fun one.
It didn't take long. I think he lasted the season, and that was it. I can't remember who it was. Obviously, it's been a few years ago.
That's a fun quote, though.
Yeah, it really was. All right, so let's move on to the NBA card, Scott. And try as we might, neither one of us came up with a bankable pick from this card. Number one, card is kind of a misnomer. There's 2 games.
Yep.
You got OKC at Denver, and you've got New Orleans at Utah. I didn't even check. Are either one of those on TV tonight? The Pelicans Jazz is going to be on NBA TV. Okay. So that's technically our TV game that we have to talk about. I'm so excited. Sometimes I'm excited for cards, and then sometimes.
Well, the bar was set pretty high yesterday.
It was. There was some good games with MLK, who had games all day long.
When I compared the MLK Day card to the Christmas card, you just have games all throughout the day, and that's basically what happened.
Yeah, very similar. This Utah team has been playing pretty well, Scott. They won and covered their last 5, but other than Milwaukee, they really haven't played much of anybody.
Does New Orleans count as anybody?
Yeah, that's the thing. They had a good win against Denver. They did have a win there in the Pepsi Center. Doing it with defense, man. Very, very, very good defense.
4 straight unders.
What's that?
It's 4 straight unders versus. It's 4 straight unders versus 6 out of 7 overs. So we'll see what happens in this one.
Yeah, that's exactly. You've got the clash of the styles there, but yeah, Utah 3 of their last 4, less than 100 points. They gave up 105 to Denver. So congratulations. I mean, you probably just got tired of shooting. This New Orleans team,
I'm not going to overreact to a win over Sacramento because Sacramento has either the worst or the second worst defense in the entire league.
Who would you compare it with? Minnesota?
It has to be the Wizards.
Oh, the Wizards. Yeah, okay.
It has to be. Beal said his team can't guard a parked car. I mean, I know that the Wizards have COVID now, but that's an all-time quote, by the way. But that's easily the worst two defenses in the league. Minnesota's probably third, but then again, Towns has been out for so many games that I can't factor in how bad that defense actually is at full strength. I've seen the Wizards and the Kings at full strength. Oh boy, that is something right there. Yeah, Sacramento can't guard anybody.
Who you got? Who you got here? Well, who you got in the first one? We might as well talk about.
No, I feel like we talk about this one because we already talked about it.
Okay, all right.
I know money's coming on New Orleans. I'm not going to overreact to what happened against Sacramento, but at the same point, I still don't know how good Utah actually is.
Right.
I'm going to take Utah, but it's a small lean there. Wouldn't surprise me if New Orleans gives Utah a run for its money, but I just can't trust this Pelicans team. I know that it beat Sacramento, still lost 5 of its last 6 going up against a team that's won 5 straight at home. 5 straight, and it's at home in this game. So I'll take Utah.
Yeah, you have to. It's one of those situations where you don't love one side, but there's no way you'd back the other side.
Yeah, we talked about it in the Michigan-Maryland game.
Same thing. It's the same kind of game.
I feel better about the Michigan side over the Utah side, but that's just me.
Yeah, I probably agree with that. There's a lot more revenge angle, and I would lean. I would lean Jazz. Probably lean over as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to get a report. Have you seen anything update on Lonzo Ball? Is he going to play?
I see he's still questionable. I'm assuming he's not going to. Truth is, the team hasn't looked that bad without him anyway, so I don't think it really matters.
No, I agree.
It's good for an under if he's playing because he can't shoot.
Nuggets and Thunder. Nuggets 10, 220.5.
For this one, I'll go a little bit outside the box here. I'll link the Denver first half. It's one of those things where Denver's been really solid in the first quarter and the first half of games mostly. I don't know if it has to do with the altitude or the fact that, I know, Denver just gets off to hot starts before falling apart defensively in the second half. But Oklahoma City, for a team that was allegedly tanking, has actually looked mediocre. But doesn't change the fact that on paper, I still don't think this team is very good. Now, it's 5-1 on the road, which is very impressive. But at the end of the day, I think Denver will get off to a hot start. Seems like Denver is starting to at least somewhat find its groove a little bit. I know the win against Golden State at home was pretty solid. Denver's been pretty poor on the road, but at home, well, actually, I take it back. It's been pretty bad at home as well.
Yeah, lost that game against Utah.
Yeah. For me, I'll lean Denver first half. I just think Denver will get off to a hot start here. Spread's around 6. From what I see from Oklahoma City in some games, whether it was the Nets game, the Bulls game, there's a bunch of these games that have been close. This team gets off to really poor starts, and then they make some halftime adjustments, and the team flips a switch. That's what I've noticed from Oklahoma City. So I'll lean Denver first half.
Horford out. Bother you?
It bothers me from a defensive perspective, but I mean, it's not like he produces much offensively.
No,
I think it'd be a factor defensively because they can't guard Jokic.
Well, that's always a problem is who's going to guard Jokic.
Yep.
So
I think Horford has most of his impact defensively at this stage in his career. I'm assuming you'd agree with that.
I absolutely would.
So I'll lean Denver first half.
All right, very good. I will.
You have any thoughts?
Yeah, nothing big. I'll play OKC getting 10.
Okay.
I'll take them with a little perhaps backdoor action there as Denver does their thing and falls apart in the fourth quarter and lets them get within 5 or 6. So
that's fair.
I'll take OKC. Two definitely mediocre teams so far playing. So
cool.
All right, bud. There's a basketball show. So enjoy the UFC. By the way, there's a rumor you and I are going to do a UFC show together about the Conor McGregor fight, lad.
Not a bad accent. I've heard worse accents in my time.
It's just cold too. I'm not even working on it. So we'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at that card. I don't know, Thursday, Friday, something like that. So.
Yeah. I know that we've been talking about maybe getting a guest on, so we'll see what happens there. But we'll figure it out.
All right, buddy. As always, Appreciate everybody watching. If you want deeper dives into these games or any other games, don't forget to check out winnersandwiners.com, your one-stop shop for all things sports betting, the #1 site in the world for predictive sports analysis. And we're curious to see what you guys have fallen in love with today. So drop us a comment. Let us know what you're playing because, obviously Scott and I, we don't bring a lot of excitement to this card. We're just kind of waiting for the next day, trying to get through this one. So we got a couple plays. I do have a couple premium plays that I liked. And, one play of the day there that we've already touched on. So, let us know what you guys are on. As always, we appreciate you watching, and hope every one of those tickets in your pocket turns into cash money back at the window for myself, for Scott Reichel, for all of us over here at winnersandwiners.com. Have a great day, everybody. Keep cashing those tickets, and we'll see you tomorrow on Today in Sports Betting. Bye-bye.